Uh, so what was the problem here? The problem was the scalability. The problem was the what I would say modularity. The problem was distributed system. Now in distributed system, what actually happens is, suppose tomorrow you made one more application, okay, and that uses the same MySQL database, okay. A company can't afford too many databases, so they will use the same database to work on it. There are two websites. So what actually used to happen is, suppose your this server, this node is down, your server is down, okay. Now this server is down, your Tomcat is gone, your MySQL is gone, your this application is no more accessible from the browser. What will happen to this application? If someone tries to again try this one also, it will internally try to get the data from MySQL, and it will see that, okay, this MySQL is not here, right? It's down. What you will see, you will say, okay, I am also down, I can't do anything. It's hampering your productivity, it's hampering your marketing business and all these things, right? So what actually they try to do, that they started segregating applications. Now, segregating applications means you will be writing MySQL part somewhere else. You will install your MySQL on some other server somewhere. Okay, your this application will connect to that particular MySQL, get the data out of it, done. This one, this also will go and connect to here and done. Now, if your application, this application down, there is no problem, this application at least will be accessible. Now yeah, there is always a chance that this MySQL also can go down and both the application will get inaccessible. But the advantage is, if generally, I mean, what actually happens is, MySQL or any Oracle or what you say databases, right, these are developed by I would say the very hardcore developers or R&D big people who keeps on digging through. You can see the Java, right? How long it takes to develop a API, and they go through the so many tests. That doesn't happen with our applications. We write code in very tight timeline. There is too much pressure. We write code. Even I face such kind of problem. In my office, they give deadline to develop this feature in 2 days, and it takes ages to testing and fixing the bugs, and it's everywhere's a story. I mean, it's not like in one company. It's every company is these days very agile. They will put your story, they will ask you to develop the features. You need to develop it very fast. So what happens, right? It could be too much buggy. It might crash. The crashes chances are more in your application rather than I'm telling about MySQL or Oracle or any product what you are buying from. Next thing is that you will always get the constant support of those product development companies. Like if you're getting Oracle or something, right, they always keep support you. Okay, fine, there is a problem, we can fix you, or you can revert back to some other release if it is crashing or something. But in your application, you need to handle yourself. There is no other third party will come and fix your bug. So the chances are high in your application rather than the MySQL databases. So it's always good to separate your applications. It's always good to separate your code also. So we will not be talking about this separating MySQL and all these things. Anyhow, our applications, MySQL is obviously it's different. We are running on our single machine. You can run this MySQL, as I told you before also. I can run this MySQL into your system, okay, and you just share your IP address. I can connect from here to your database. My application can talk to your database. It's just like you need to provide the IP address, you need to provide the access to that username and password. That's all. So what actually the MVC is in your application, what you develop, right? MVC called MC, the full form is, this one is model, this is view, and this is the controller. So model is something like how you model your application. Now modeling means nothing but you need to design certain thing. You need to I would say, if you are, suppose you are given a task to, okay, develop a web application for uh, sorry develop an application for college, or you can say for the college academic purposes, like, okay, student can come register here. They can see the syllabus, they can see the courses, they can get help from teachers. Teacher can post something, they can upload some files, they can do all this stuff, right? So they can give online examination, they can get the mail notifications and all this stuff they can do. So it's like overall a picture of an applications where a college activities can be carried out. Now if you have been asked to design such applications, first thing what you will be starting is the modeling of your project. Now modeling means you need to think about what are the attributes a thing can have, what are the entities it can have, what are the objects it can have. So what are the objects, what do you think? Just if you take a simple thing, right? There should be a student class, if I'm not wrong. They will have roll number, they will have name, they will have age, they will have all these stuff or whatever the information you want, right? Now again you can have a teacher like or professor class, and then teachers, this one, all these things, right? And you can have again a user class. Now a user can be a teacher, a user can be a student. So you will put here like a username, and you will one more column you will type user type. So whether it's a teacher or whether it's a student, so a student can only post questions, teacher professor can post an answer, or professor can upload some kind of documents, or do some type of thing, or it can be like admin type, right? So just think about how it can done, right? Again you can have a class as a user. Now your teacher will extend user, and it have the features of only those what a teacher can do, and the common attribute will be user ID, username. Again user can be extended by student. A student can have all these details, only username and password will be common to that, and user type will be varied according to these things. Now similar to that, you will create a table also, as I told you in Hibernate, right? You will have a teacher table, you will have a student table. These are the what are the fields you are defining in your class, you will define in the DB, right? So these things what you are doing, okay, how you are modeling things, how you think that okay, this is how our entities will interact. Okay, a user can do certain things, what are the use case you are giving, right? What a user can do, what a teacher can do, what a student can do. Okay, you will again create a department table, you will again create the the action based items, whatever you want to do, right? So this is what actually you are doing as a model. Now what about the view? View is nothing but what you can see. So how you will design your page, how the data should look like. Okay, it should be in table, the what I would say, the question answers you want to put in table, or you want to put just like a Facebook does or Twitter does or something, right? You can post like that, sorry, or you want to send as a mail, or you want to do anything. So these things what you can do is as a view. So JSP pages, whatever the code what you're writing in JSP pages to view to the user, which goes as a HTTP response to the browser, which it gets rendered and it shows there, that is the part of view. So Spring is a MVC product, framework. So Spring provides you such kind of modularity where you can model your classes. You can give a view name, okay, what it should be, HTML file or it is a JSP file, whatever you want to put, you can put it there. Then the controller comes. Now the work of controller is do nothing but controlling things, redirecting things from one point to another point. Okay, now what actually does it mean? The controller actually does the work of controlling things like, okay, now suppose the first request which comes, the controller, front end controller will be there. I'll explain you in Spring way also how does it work. So it's just like I would say any request, okay, which comes to the server, the controller will take that request and it will say, okay, which method to call. Okay, it will say, okay, call that model method. Okay, get the data from DB using that model, and get that data, parse it into and get it to the view. So again controller will take that and send it to the view. So it is something like this. This is how the Spring also works. So there is a, I'll say something like, so this is how Spring works. So they have a dispatcher servlet called as a dispatcher. I'll show you everything how it works. I hope everybody knows what is servlet, right? We had covered that in so we have a dispatcher servlet instead of any normal servlet, or it's a special servlet which Spring has, which is called the dispatcher servlet. And your web browser, when you are sending a request, this is your web browser, you send a request, that HTTP request, right? So the HTTP request you send, it comes to the dispatcher servlet. What actually dispatcher servlet does is it sends the control or the request to the controller. This is our controller. Now this controller works on the URL pattern. Like, okay, suppose slash home, if I write it, it'll call the slash home method. So that method I'll talk about it later, what actually it does is, and this will be the model, this will be the view, and then it will send back to response, it will send back to here. So what actually happens, I'll tell you the entire flow. So web browser sends a request to dispatcher servlet. This is running in Tomcat container, the Spring dispatcher servlet, and then it sends the request to the controller, controller class, and the controller works on, suppose you are you want to go to home page, so request will come something like slash home. The controller will decide, okay, slash home is the request, okay, I need to call get home method of model class, maybe model student class, or get user, or get teachers detail, or get students details. You'll call that one, you'll get the data, so controller will get the data. After that, controller need to decide what kind of view users want. So it will call the view, okay, you design a page, you create a page and how it should look like, and send back the response to me. So it will send back after the view does the rendering, sends back this is nothing but the JSP file. This is JSP, and this model is nothing but what I have told you, the student class or the teacher class, or the get teacher details, get from DAO, that whatever DAO and all these things we are talking about, right? Data access object, all these things are belonging to this model. So whatever the data we get, suppose we got the list of teachers, it will send the list of teachers to this guy, controller. Control will send this back to the view teachers.jsp. Now view teachers.jsp, there will be like HTML tags and all this formatting you are doing. You're passing the teachers object to this guy, and it is rendering, it is making the JSP page. It sends this JSP page to this guy. The controller sends the to this dispatcher servlet, and dispatcher servlet sends the HTML form of that JSP page to the web browser, and that's where you see the result. Any questions so far? I know it's not easy. If you say it's not understandable right now, I will completely agree with that, because it took me time also to learn how actually it works. So but this is the overall picture how it Spring works. I'll show you example, I'll show you a very good example, in fact, so that you can understand how actually works. Any questions so far? Nothing?
Not much.
Okay, fine. So I'll just now go through the applications. I'll show you everything how it should work. I'll explain you what actually end-to-end application is. I'll do some modifications also to show you, because setting up the project, it takes a little bit time, and I didn't want to waste time. I didn't get time also to create a simple project or something. So overall picture is something like what we did in JSP servlet. That's what here also we will be doing, but with Spring and Hibernate. Okay, and why what is the differences between what we had developed and what is this one? Okay, I'll tell you about everything, why it is so useful, why it is so much in demand, why it is so much scalable, why it is so distributed, why it is so secure. I haven't I will not be covering Spring security, but it's really wonderful thing to learn if you have interest in that. Even I'm studying these one of the very good book is there. I can share with you if you want to learn Spring security. It's really a very good thing. I mean, you should be knowing those things. So it provides many functionality, many features. So let me just go through the applications what actually I had developed, and I'll show you how what is the web what is the dispatcher servlet, what is the model here, what is the view here, how it works, and then I explain you other codings and all these things. Okay, so where did it go? Just a second. Yeah. So obviously the project name, I think everybody knows about the Maven. If anybody has any question, I'll tell you again what is Maven is. So I'm using Maven as a build tool. Previously there used to be a tool called name as Ant, A-N-T, okay, Ant, and that is no more. It's almost obsolete these days. Gradle and Maven. There are other tools, but the most famous is Maven, what we are using. And something like, instead of putting so many jars and all these things, right? So what we do is, this is our pom.xml what I'm using for project. And as you can see here, it requires many jars. So you need MySQL jars, you need Jackson, you need Spring framework jars. As you can see, Spring, there are many Spring jars what we need. Spring transactions, web MVC, web Spring context. So instead of downloading from internet, putting into this library, setting into the class path, what we are doing is we are creating a Maven project in pom.xml. We are putting the entry of that. Okay, these are the things we need. See, for Hibernate only, I just need to give Hibernate core and then the Hibernate version. So I'll just provide these details in here, and you can get all the jars here. If you see here, this is my project, and I've closed all the project. I don't know how it got opened, just so that you don't get confused about this. Okay, so what I was telling is the jars what you are adding here is, you can see here, these are the jars what I have added. MySQL connector Java 5134. So if you see here in pom.xml, MySQL connector Java, right? MySQL connector Java version 5134. Version 5134 has been downloaded. Suppose I want to change this version. I just want to, update my version to the latest one. You can do that. MySQL connector Maven. Just write like this. So 5134 is, I think, latest one. No, after that 5135 has also come. 5133 is there. If I want to change it 33, I can certainly do. I'll just make it here 533, and if I save it, you will see immediately it will get changed here. It will download from the internet, and just if you see here, it is building. Okay, so as you can see here, right, it is downloading from the internet. So if you are not connected to internet, your project will not compile if you change your version. So actually it does that. It's downloading, it is refreshing the project. As you can see, it will download, and then it will set into the class path, and you will see that it has been changed to 3. I think I have put 3 only. Okay, sorry, it should be 33. Let me make 33. I don't know why it is. Okay, this keypad is locked. Okay, sorry. So if I'm making it to 33 and I'll save it, you will see the building workspace is started, and it will move back to, see, so 33 is downloading. As you can see here, right, you saw that, right, the project, it was downloaded, the jar it has downloaded, and now it will become a 5133 version. Okay, so the dependency information, these things, right, you can get on internet. Let it refresh. In meantime, what I will show you, if you click on this 33, it'll give you that, okay, you just put this dependency, see, dependency tag, MySQL connector, and 5133. So copy this one and put into your dependencies tab, and it will see 5133 it has become. Same thing for Jackson, other APIs which are there, Java Mail is there, Spring, what are the jars which are required? So context, AOP, Spring Beans, Spring Core, Expression, MVC, Web, Tax, taxation, and the context. These are the required. Hibernate, we need Hibernate Core, what we had done. Other things are also there for JSP. We have for JavaX, for Logger, test cases. These all things you can define here. Whatever the dependencies you have, you can define here. Apart from that, what kind of project name you want? Okay, so group ID, like something, it will be the project name will be like something like that, a Spring MVC Hibernate. This is it will create a war file, web archive file, and will generate for you, and you can, that will be your the project, and you can deploy it onto the any of the web application. I'll show you that as well. Okay, so just let me run this project and I'll show you everything what actually it does, and then I'll explain you, code wise how actually it does. So Hibernate, once you go to, once you have a Maven project, if you go to run as, you will get many things here. Okay, like clean, build, install, and all this stuff. Don't worry about all these things. These are like building projects. There are many phases are there. You do not need to know much things about Maven right now, because that is the build team does all this stuff, how to build and all. So you can do clean, like, okay, you once you run the application, right, it generates war file, tar file, compiles. So clean does all the cleaning work and all these things. You just need to do that, and after that what you can do is run as on run on server, and it will run on your Tomcat. If you have installed it, it will run on Tomcat. It will, you will see that again it started something problem. One second, I messed up some code, I think. Okay, I think I need to clean the project again. There's some problem with the clean. Okay, so let it compile first. So we'll see. Okay, so it has generated a war file, as you can see here, Spring Hibernate 1.0.war, and where I have defined this one, I have defined everything in the pom.xml. So that's where I have defined what kind of a Spring Hibernate war, a Spring Hibernate 1.0.0, and that's what it has done. And packaging is war file, and that's what it has generated once I compile it. So as you can see here, com Diwakar Spring Hibernate, this is the folder 1.0, and this is the name. Same thing it is doing, right? Com Diwakar Spring Hibernate folder, and then the Spring Hibernate, and then war, and 1.1.0 war file. So this will be your project, what you are you can deploy on your Tomcat server. So just let me show you that. So if you go here, this is the, so this is Spring MVC Hibernate 1.1.0 war. This war file you can deploy on any of the server. Tomcat, suppose you install only Tomcat, you deploy this war file. If your MySQL is running, you don't need Eclipse or something. You just start your Tomcat, you start working. Okay. So this is the web archive file. This is what actually the end result what you get if you extract this one, right? If you extract to this particular this, you will see that all these resources, the data, whatever the data what you are getting, right? So it will be put it there in library. You will see all the jars what you have mentioned in Spring file. This will be there in the classes, right? You will see the all the codes will be present. So the class file, right, the code what it has generated. So this is what actually ultimately result what you get. Okay, the particular the war file what you get, and that's what you deploy ultimately, right? So this is done. Now just let me run. I don't know what is happening here. It's too much sometimes. Just let me see. Okay, where is the server? Just let me remove the server because this guy is causing too much problem. Just let me delete the server because okay, I'm in Java perspective. Okay, come here. Okay, so we have do we have server? No, right? Okay, fine. So now what I will do is why all these projects gets opened, I really don't know. Closed all. I think there is some problem. Just let me see. Server. Yeah, there is no server here. Okay, this guy is here. Okay. Just let me see which workspace I am right now. Just there is some problem with project only. Okay, just a second. These problems are common generally if you know sometimes you need to have 1 second. Okay, this is the project. Sorry. Okay, so you don't have server, right? Okay, so this one dot class path target dot settings. Just let me import this project again so that you know it doesn't create any kind of issues. We'll import another Eclipse. So just let me run this again. Okay, can you see the screen, right? You can see the screen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So just let me import the project. There is some configuration problem. It keeps happening with Spring and Eclipse. So these where did I put code? Okay, yeah. So this is done, right? Okay, fine. So just let me run now. Yeah, you can see your same project is running here and there it was some problem. So it happens. I mean, the configuration, the Tomcat, there are too many dependencies are there and it's really difficult to debug. I didn't want to spend so much time in that. So yeah, this is how the main front page will look like. I'll just let me open in web browser. So instead of this default browser, so so this is how actually this is the use case I'm just telling. It is just similar to that. You need to log in, and instead of login, you can do yourself register. So just you can see put admin, okay. And once you click on this, user created successfully, login, click here, come here, you write admin and you write admin, click on this, okay. So here you will say that welcome admin, and there is a logout button. Here you can add employee, you can see the existing employee just like that, okay. And the very good feature here I had added is you click on edit, it will show you just above that only, okay. And once you can edit it, the worker, you can do 1 2 3 and update it here, it will go back and it will come here. Okay, sorry, screen is stuck. Okay, just a second. Now it is okay. Now it is fine, right? Can you see the okay. So the add employee again, you can write it, okay. So you add employee, okay, employee added successfully. And if you go existing, obviously this will come here, and you can delete. Similarly, it will delete also. If you want to edit, just click on this above only, it will come up. And if you want to, suppose you want to remove a, you can remove. You want to put this one, you put other country, and it will immediately update you. You can even search it here. You just put one for one, this is there, right? You can search. So yeah, this is the result for one, right? If you want to put 5, it will search C. So yeah, the search existing and just basic, you can put your logo, okay, for the home page and all. So this is what actually this all about this is. But to make this kind of application only, it takes a lot of effort, because the configurations and all these things are very it's not so trivial, okay. So just let me explain you a few things today, and tomorrow I'll explain you in details. So what actually I'm doing here is I'm just writing one web application. It does nothing, and you access it using localhost 9090, whatever the port you want to give. I've given 9090, and it is this is the project name what I'm giving. And then what is the page I'm accessing here? I'm not giving any page name. And just think about here, as I told you, Spring does not work the page wise. In web applications, JSP subject, what you had seen is you used to put something like index.jsp and it used to work blah, right? Or let me just get it, index.jsp, and it used to come here. You will see that it will say there is nothing like this URL. Even if you will see that there are many JSP pages are here. What I want to tell you, I'll just in view, if you see that add user home.jsp, index.jsp is there, index.jsp is present, but it is not letting me directly access it. If I'm putting like index.jsp, it is not telling me. But same thing, if I don't give anything, this is my index page which is coming. So actually this is what the URL I'm giving. I'm telling that, okay, if a user gives /URL, only slash, nothing else, or they don't give at all anything, map it to index.jsp. Who does this? The controller. I'll show you how it does, okay. So the first request what you send is you send with slash. Just remember that even if you don't give, you are giving only project name, you will see that browser is automatically adding this particular portion, okay. So this is somewhat similar to even if you use YouTube, right? youtube.com, you put it enter, right? By default, even if you give slash, it will do the same thing. You'll see that it remove, right? So the internal work is something like this only. Even if you don't give slash, it by default goes as a slash. So your request is treated as that, okay, the user is trying to access a URL mapped with slash. So let us go to the project and I'll explain you everything how actually it works. So obviously it will start with web.xml. As usual, all the web application starts with reading your web application, that okay, what is there in your web application. Remember, I was telling that okay, index.jsp, index.html file, other files which are present in web.xml, that will get loaded by default. But here if you see, there is nothing like that. In web.xml, I haven't mentioned index.jsp, I haven't mentioned anything at all. I have mentioned one very unique thing called the URL pattern. So I'm telling that okay, put URL pattern as a slash and call some other guy as a app servlet. What is this app servlet is? You will see that as I told you, the app servlet is a servlet just like your servlet. I know what we had done, right? And the servlet name is dispatcher servlet. What did I just explain just before that, just 10 minutes back? That Sweta, you're I think coming in, something like that is happening. There is some issue. Okay, it is because
Yeah, it's problem with my system.
okay, even Jesse or even Pratik's, I don't know whether he left intentionally or I don't know. Okay, so the dispatcher servlet is the main servlet which takes the front request, and that the request will come only, the dispatcher servlet take the request only if whatever the URL mapping you are giving. So what URL mapping I'm telling okay, whatever the request with slash it comes, right? Call this app servlet. What is this app servlet? This app servlet is this one. So you can you can put something like this also, spring servlet. Okay, so whatever name you give, make sure you give here also, sorry. So you are nothing, you are telling that this is a variable name, you can say. So this is the dispatcher servlet and this is the object name, you can say. So you are telling that okay, whatever the variable name I am giving, the app servlet dispatcher servlet, forward this slash request to dispatcher servlet. Now the dispatcher servlet takes the request, okay, and it searches for the controller with slash. It says okay, now let me find out the controller, that controller which takes the request as a slash. Now where is that control will be defined is, there is a file, what I'm telling that okay, app servlet is this dispatcher servlet and initialize with this particular file which is called the servlet context XML. So Spring has a special XML file which gives the entry of the controller, of the view, of the Java objects, and all these things are defined in servlet XML. So this is the path webinf spring app servlet, and this is the file name. So if I go there inside Spring, inside app servlet, as you can see here, app servlet folder is there. Inside that servlet hyphen context XML file I have written. Now come to this XML file. There are a lot of things are there. Don't bother about these many entries what I have created. I'll explain you later. Okay, just focus on few things what I am explaining. The one thing is here is that I am defining a bean. In a Spring we do not take a name as object. It's offense. It's against the rule, I would say. Okay, it's not in a rule that you should take a name as an object. Actually what happens, right, Spring does not let you create the object by yourself. You are not supposed to use class name obj equal to new class name. It's forbidden in Spring. You can do, but it's not advisable. Okay, Spring tries that. Okay, Spring says okay, let me create the object, let me manage the state of the object, let me manage the memory management of object. You just request for the object, I'll create it for you. Okay, so generally if you write a class and you need an object of that class, you are not supposed to create by yourself. You simply tell your Spring that okay, hey, create the a Spring object for me and get it me or whatever you want to do with that. Okay, the benefit of using that Spring bean, the bean what we call is nothing but the object of that class, is that the memory management. So what actually happens, right, once you create your Java object, it's your duty to make it to refer it to null or other than what happens, right, if you don't do that, if you don't do it properly, if you don't manage your objects, it will go out of memory. Your application might crash eventually by piling up the memories, and you need to do the cleaning of your object by your own. So what actually a Spring tells, okay, we have developed a very nice framework, the container, the being container. Let me worry about the object's state. Let me worry about the object's memory. If something happens, you blame me. Okay. So the Spring does that, and it never lets you create the object. So the what are the things I was telling, like the controller I was talking about, right? So this XML file tells that where actually the controller is present. There are many things I am writing. I explain you one by one. The main thing what I will be telling you is that the controller part, what I'm telling that, okay, this is the where the controller will be present is, one second. Yeah. So this is where I'm telling, just let me write it above that, so that it's good that if I write it at the top. Okay, that's why I was searching at the top. Okay, so what actually I'm telling is context component scan base package equal to com Diwakar Spring example. Okay, so I'm telling that the controller, the what actually this guy is searching, this guy is searching that where is that controller present with slash request. Okay, I'll tell you how it is there. So this app servlet creates an object of dispatcher servlet, and it tries to look into this servlet context, that where to look in for that, and it tells you component scan, go and scan these packages and find out. You will definitely get a request mapping with the request URL with slash. So we'll go to this particular package. We'll go to com Diwakar Spring example. Okay, I'm just telling you the flow, how it works. Okay, so we'll go here in Java sources, src main Java. We'll see that there are many com Diwakar Spring example, common, controller, and all these things, right? All falls into that category only. Com Diwakar Spring example, right? Just to for the convenience or the naming, I would say the naming conventions, I have written something dot controller, as you can see here. That means I'm just indicating a viewer or whoever is maintaining my code that, okay, whatever the controller you are looking for, it could be here somewhere. Okay, and the name also I'm giving like something login controller or person controller or register controller. Okay, something like that I'm giving. So I'll just try searching for that. I'll see, okay, login controller open. Login controller is nothing but a simple Java class, as you can see. The controller is nothing but a simple Java class having many methods, but the difference is only that you put one thing which is called the @controller. This annotation makes a class, a simple class, is a very special class. Now, what is the special thing about it? This is your controller who you know control things, who get the data from model or DAO or somewhere, send back to this response to your view, and that's how it does, right? If you remember the diagram, right? The dispatcher server sends the request to controller, right? So your login controller with the annotation @controller. Okay, so if you see here, there are many things which will be mentioned here. As you can see, request mapping, @request mapping, and the method name is login, and the value is /login. Am I looking for /login? What I'm looking for, what kind of URL I'm looking for right now? Can you please tell me, anybody? I'm looking for something, right? What I'm looking for this slash request. I'm looking for something where the URL mapping would be something like slash. Now here it is /login. No, this is not right. This is /logout. No, this one is also not there, right? So nothing is present in this. We'll go to the person controller and we will see that request mapping value equals to slash is there. Okay, now if you see this slash is there, that means the, and one more thing, this should be unique. It can't be conflict with it, nothing like, okay, here is slash mention and you can mention somewhere controller in other controller somewhere. No, Spring will not let you, and it will not come up on your application, will not come up by saying ambiguous mapping has been found, because the Spring will not be able to decide that which path to go, right? So this guy will be called, right? Are you following, right? Because nobody answered what I am looking for. So you are following, right, what I am doing here?
Yes, following, but just something it is confusing.
Okay, tell me what does it make confusing?
I mean, the concept I'm saying.
Okay, okay, okay.
So,
No, no, it's okay. It might take time. There is no problem with that. But
yeah.
the thing, what I am trying to say, how actually it works. Till now, I'm not telling you how to code it. How to write code, how to develop code in Spring. No, I'm not telling that. I'm just telling for now that this is how it works. This is the flow of your application, and that's how I'll just show you by giving something like here system.out.println. I am called with mapping slash. So just give me some time, you will understand that. So slash has been called, and the method name what I am writing is login page. This is nothing but a simple class as a person controller, public class, with annotation as a at the rate controller. That means it is telling that okay, this is the controller, and then the request mapping, actually this is the annotation which tells okay, what kind of request mapping, what kind of URL you want to put in to call this particular method. So I'm telling okay, login page, call login page if someone, the request which comes with slash. Okay, so this is the particular method name, just like a normal method what you're writing. The return type is a very special return type what we write in Spring, is called the model and view. Okay, so why it will always be like that only. So what is this model and view is, it is telling that which JSP page to call. So login page, once this comes, right, this is called, it will print this one, and it will create model view index.jsp. By default the JSP will come, I'll tell you how. So I'm telling okay, open index.jsp page whenever a request with slash, front slash, comes, and navigate to that particular index.jsp, and that's how your index.jsp, this index.jsp gets called, and this is your Spring MVC. I'll write something like index, just to make sure that you are right is viewing the same page. Okay, so this page will be get called. So just let me run it again so that you will follow. Okay, so if I hit something like this, you will see that, where did it go, where is it printing, what did I print there? Okay, some request has come with so let me clear this. Successfully request completed. Why it is not printing that? One second. Okay, null pointer. Strap, no. I think the system.out.println is not printing this in debug mode. Just 1 second. It is not printing that one. Just let me system.out.println. It should be printing. I don't know why it is not printing. 1 second. Just let me put some string. Logger. 1 second. Now I think it will print. Maybe some logger issue is there. Okay, so just let me run again. Last modified. Okay, yeah, it was printing. Actually, it was going back. Okay, so as you can see here, right, I'll just let me again clear this and run it again. It is actually going down. Okay, so you can see here I am called with mapping hyphen, right? So this particular thing is getting called, and see I am called with request slash, as you can see, right? Same thing what we are printing here. So if you're giving a slash, you're giving a request as a slash. So now I think you can correlate that, okay, this is getting called, right? Now if I give home, okay, if I give slash home, which page do you think it should get called? Now I think it's easy to tell, right, which page it should get called. You can see the code and tell which page do you think it get called. Nope. We're creating the model view object on home page. Yeah, right. So home page should get called, right? So if I give a request as slash home, my home page should get called. So let me see that once. Slash is there, so let me see home. Yeah, perfect, right? So the problem what is happening is it is redirecting me to the index page because session is enabled, and it is just, let me log in and then try. So now if I give something like a slash home, okay, and hit enter, I'm seeing that I went to the home page, home.jsp, right? So if I give slash home, that means this request mapping will get called, okay, and this model home.jsp will get called, okay, and navigate to this one. If I put slash index.jsp, so if I put slash index page, so if I let me give that, just understand that this works on only on URL. So if I put this one, it will go to the index.jsp, but in URL you are saying that index page. So this is what actually you are saying is this is not the page name. Just do not get confused with the page name. This is the URL name, and with every URL there must be some mapping to some page or something else. If I say, okay, person list, okay, as I'm logged in, I can do anything here, right? So just let me put this, sorry, okay, person list. So if I'm giving person list, it'll calling me, it is calling one page, something like a model attribute, it is calling the list of person. So it is calling the list persons page. So if I see here list persons, obviously it should be, yeah, persons list, sorry, persons list page is calling. Though my request is person list, it is calling the persons list.jsp, right? Even if I'm not providing the, so what actually happening here is everything it works on URL, okay? Now URL, if you're telling that, okay, whatever the request you are sending, if you see the existing, if you see the add, so if I click on add, it is going to the home page. So home page is this is how it looks like. If you run the home page, right, this is how it look like. If you put one and if you search on here, it is going something get employee by search ID and search key equal to 1, and it is showing you the matching page. So if I see something like that, this request, get employee by search ID, so let me see that request and we can able to find out how actually it works. So if I come here and yeah, so get employee by search ID, it will take that search ID. I'll tell you about all these things, what is request param and all. It is calling this model and view. Just think about this object, model and view, search result. So I should have a page as a search result.jsp, it will call this search.jsp and print out all this information. Now there is a question here. You might be thinking that, okay, how come this I am putting the page name and it is calling that page, right? So as I told you, the controller, this is nothing but the controller, right? The controller again, if you remember the diagram, if I just little bit again I'll draw. This is our dispatcher servlet, the first request, and then we have a controller, as I was calling, right? The controller, and the request is sent to here and it sends back the response. The controller, right, what actually does is it calls your model, and model is okay, the model is getting the data and all these things, right? After that it sends the data. The controller calls the view. So this is like a calling a view, and view gives a response, and then this view is get returned to this, and then this returns to the browser. So this part, okay, it gives the model and it returns you the view is something like here. So if you see here, I'm returning model and view object as an index page, right? So if you go to this XML page, there's a very important point what I want to make is something like here. As I told you, the bean is nothing but in Java in object, just like Java object. I'm telling that, okay, create an object of internal resource view resolver. This is the beans class, what beans provide to create the render the JSP page and send the HTML code to the HTTP servlet, and it sends back to the HTTP servlet response. So this is the work of that class. You don't have to remember the name, you don't have to know about how it works. Just think about that as this is the platform. It couples joins the code, it glues the code of your model and the view. And you can see here it tells that whatever the page name you are getting from there, from the controller, append that with the .jsp file and look for that file. So if I'm telling that, okay, sorry, the search result, I'm not giving the .jsp. The .jsp gets added by this person, the view resolver, right? This is the work of that. It adds this .jsp and then it searches which place it will search in this particular location. What is the location name? It is searching in webinf/views directory, and this is where it is present. Inside that, if you see in webinf, if you go the view folder, there it is, the search result.jsp, and this will get called. Okay, now one more thing is here, the data what it is printing, from where it will get the data what it is printing. If you see here list person, what I am printing, just think about this list person. You can send the data from the controller itself. So if you see here the get employee by search ID and the search key, the model we create, the search result we create, after that we are putting some data. If you see that mv is nothing but the object of this model view, that add object as a list person. So whatever the data we are getting from the DAO or all these things, right, we are putting into the mv, the model and view object, and with the same name, the list of person, right, we will get it here. So if you see list person, right, we are getting it and we are printing it here. So this is how the value is getting injected into the model view, and it gets passed here, and that's how it gets printed here. So I think it's too much for today. Okay, so did you get a little bit idea? It's okay, it's perfectly fine if you haven't understood 90% of the what I explained. Even if you have understood 10%, that is worth to explain. So is it fine till now?
Yeah.
It's okay. It's a bit complex to understand MVC framework, and that also with the Spring, it's really difficult to understand. It will take little bit time to adjust to this particular environment, how the application gets developed. So I'll again repeat these things little bit again tomorrow. Okay, I'll do some slightly slightly will create some other controller. I'll show you how to control these things, how get request, post request works. Okay, and then I'll explain you later complex things like how you can. Yeah, I know it's perfectly confusing. I totally agree with you. It's very confusing, I know, but once you understand, it's really very easy and very elegant to work. Once you get used to this environment, you will never like JSP servlet, I'm telling you. Okay, so the thing is, you need to understand the flow, and that's why from past 1.5 hours I'm explaining only the flow. Okay, I'm just telling you this is how, this is how, this is how it works. Okay, again I explain you tomorrow also. I'm not explaining code much, because coding is somewhat you can search and you can work on it, but the flow, if you don't understand, right, it's really difficult. So I'll explain it again tomorrow. Okay, other things also I'll cover once I show you one few more things, right, by writing the controller, by calling it how you can call it. And once you run it in your system also, if you try to I'll give you one example, a small project. I'll create it, maybe if I get time, right, I'll send you and you can just try it on. You write your controller, you see how the controller calls, how the the call back comes to the JSP page, how you can render the data, how you can show it, and all these things. Okay, that is fine, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, fine. So don't get upset that okay, it's I'm not able to understand. It's completely perfect, and it's completely right, or justified that it takes time to learn. Okay, so I have seen numerous videos, numerous people's topic attended, this Spring developers, they Spring source, who develops the Spring, right? I have seen there around 120 videos, more than 120 videos, to understand how their framework works, what are the changes they're doing, why they are doing. So it's not just like a piece of cake. You will just go and get over with this. Okay, it will take time. Study. There are plenty of video tutorials available on internet. You can go through. Okay, yeah, fine then. So tomorrow we'll catch up again. I'll explain you these things again. Okay, if you have any doubt, you can ask again tomorrow. Syntax wise, it's perfectly fine. If you see that it's difficult or something. Okay, and I will add few extra things. We'll create another controller. We will try to do something else so that you can understand the flow and the coding what I am doing, right, step by step. If I do it, you will understand better. Okay,
Okay.
yeah, fine then. See you tomorrow.